The Battle of Murak was a battle in the Hama Governorate during the Syrian Civil War, between the rebels and the Syrian government. The clashes were concentrated around and in the eastern side of the town of Murak, as the Syrian army tried to regain the town after it was lost to the rebels on 1 February 2014. Capture of Murak. On 1 February, rebels reportedly took the Al-Harsh checkpoint, north of Murak, and the Al-Jetta checkpoint, between Hellfire and Tabat al-Imam. They also captured the Al-Aboud military checkpoint, thus fully taking control of Murak and cutting the supply line to the Wadi al-Daif and al-Hamidiyya military bases near Mayarat al-Numan, and isolating army checkpoints in Khan Shaykhun. By doing this, the rebels managed to link up with other rebel groups in the eastern and western countryside of Hama. Army counter-attack. On 3 February, violent clashes took place between the rebels and an army convoy heading to Murak near the bridge of Sorin. According to the SOHR, at least 20 army soldiers were killed in the fighting. 2 days later, violent clashes were taking place at the tank battalion north of Morek, Sorin, and on the highway south of Sorin. The army managed to capture Sorin. On the 11th of February, at least 10 pro-government fighters were killed after a suicide car bomb struck the Al-Aboud checkpoint, south of Morek. On the 15th of February, the rebels destroyed the Madajin checkpoint near Morek. On the 17th of February, it was reported that the army stormed Morek, but was pushed back by the rebels. The army entered the perimeter of Morek again later that day. On the 28th of February, the army managed to advance towards Morek, amid heavy fighting and mutual bombardments. Stalemate and army advance into eastern Murak. On the 4th of March, violent clashes took place on the international highway south of Murak, while the west side of Murak was struck by airstrikes. By the 24th of March, the rebels had repeatedly fought off attempts by the army to break through their lines at Murak. On the 4th of April, 6 rebels were killed by clashes around the town, and the government forces reportedly captured parts of Murak on the 14th of April. Between 18 and the 22nd of April, the SOHR reported that rebels managed to disable 3 army tanks near Murak and on its perimeter. On the 24th of April, it was reported that at least 6 soldiers and pro-government fighters were killed and wounded by a rebel ambush on the perimeter of Murak. On the 1st of May, rebels managed to capture an army checkpoint to the south of Murak, while the army regained control over the eastern district of Morek 5 days later. July-August army assault. On the 16th of July, the army renewed its offensive and bombed the town over 20 times in an attempt to storm the rebel-held part of Murak to break the siege of Wadi al-Daif base. The attack resulted in the death of 15 rebels. The SOHR stated that, at this point, the rebels were on the verge of losing the strategic location. At least 11 rebels were killed that day, while at least 1 soldier and 3 Hezbollah fighters were killed. The army conducted at least 10 airstrikes the following day. On the 18th of July, it was reported that the army launched 12 airstrikes, while it also dropped 6 barrel bombs on Murak. According to the SOHR, the army captured the tank battalion base north of Murak, but rebels managed to recapture the military site and the 6th point later that day. At least 7 rebels and many pro-government fighters were killed and captured in the fighting. The rebels also allegedly destroyed a tank and recaptured the Kasset al-Fostok area in the east of Murak. On the 20th of July, at least 7 rebel fighters were killed in an ambush by the army around Sorin. Afterwards, the fighting for Murak returned to a stalemate, with local skirmishes in and around the town. Rebels regained lost ground. However, the rebels managed to advance in the southern side of Morek on the 29th, according to the SOHR, and eventually recaptured the southwestern part of the town during the night of 12-13 August. It was also reported that the army began retreating to the outskirts of Morek. However, fighting continued in the town the next day. On the 25th of August, rebels advanced in the northern countryside of Morek. October Army assault and capture of Murak. On 14 October, a rebels advanced in the area between the so-called 8-point and Kasera checkpoint and destroyed 3 army vehicles. While it was unclear who controlled the tanks battalion, based north of Morek at that time, on 17 October, it was confirmed the base had been captured by the army, and later in the day it made more advances on the outskirts of the town, as well as inside it, as both sides sent reinforcements to the area. Al-Mazda News reported the army had captured the Murak-Khan Sheikhoun road, north of Murak, although the SOHR reported continued fighting on the road the next day. On 23 October, the Syrian Army, backed by Allied militias, took back total control of Murak, 9 months after it was seized by rebel forces. According to Al-Mazda, over 200 Islamic Front militants, 27 Syrian Army troops and 32 NDF fighters were killed in the final week of the battle. Rebel fighters retreated from the town southwest to Tal Amin Hill, where they were confronted by more government forces, and in the late afternoon, the army secured the hill. Aftermath. On 5 November 2015, rebels seized control of Murak, following clashes with pro-government forces.